Welcome to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation, right here on Verde Valley TV and KVNA 104.7 FM. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. We've got a packed show for you today, and we start with the 4A Football Conference rankings. Leading things off, currently sitting at number 3 in the conference, but number 1 in the 4A Grand Canyon region is the Coconino Panthers. They were able to get a playoff bid right now. They are currently in the playoffs right now, so best of luck to the Panthers going forward, and congratulations on an undefeated regular season. Behind them in the standings, but sitting at number 13 in the conference rankings, are the Flagstaff Eagles. They were also able to land a play-in bid, so best of luck to the Eagles and the Panthers going forward. The Eagles finishing in second in the region and 13 in conference. Behind them, number 14 in the conference rankings, and number 3 in the region, the Prescott Badgers, also able to make the playoffs. So best of luck to the Coconino Panthers, the Flagstaff Eagles, and the Prescott Badgers on making the playoffs and completing their fall season. Behind them, number 19 in the conference as we wrap things up here, the Lee Williams Volunteers, number 20, the Bradshaw Mountain Bears, number 27, the Mingus Union Marauders, and rounding things out for our conference rankings are number 32, the Mojave Thunderbirds. So congratulations to all of our participating schools here in the state of Arizona. I know that the fall season was very, very tough, but we were able to complete it. I know the winter season right now is up in the air, and we are going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But for right now, the fall season is looking like it's going to come to a wrap, come to an end. So congratulations to all the students, coaches, staff, faculty, district representatives, everybody, you at home, for doing your part to make sure that the fall season was successful and was able to go all the way to its completion. And we're hoping to do the same thing for the winter. We've got a great show for you today. Coconino High School Boys basketball coach Mike Moran will join us a little later in the program to talk about the successes of last season and his third stint with the program. Then we'll be joined by Prescott High School girls soccer coach Paul Campuzano, who will speak about the growth of the program since he took over and the possible upcoming winter season. As we mentioned, brief pause for right now, but we're looking to get things kicked off. But on the other side of this break, we'll be joined by Northland Preparatory Academy girls soccer coach Michael Blair. They are coming off of their 4th consecutive state title. They are the 3rd girls program in the state of Arizona to 4-peat. So congratulations to the Northland Preparatory Academy Spartans, and we will talk to Coach Blair on the other side of this break. Off the Bench will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in Northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm Philip Catafamo. I am joined now by the Northland Prep girls soccer coach, Coach Michael Blair. Coach, welcome on to the program.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Welcome to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. You run a very dominant Northland Prep soccer team. The Spartans captured their 4th consecutive 2A, not only their 4th consecutive 2A state championship, but also their 4th consecutive 2A Central Region championship as well. This makes your program, Coach, the 3rd girls program ever in the state of Arizona to 4-peat. Let's talk a little bit about how that season went and what does that accomplishment mean to you?
When we took this program over 4 years ago, Coach Keith and I, we co-coach because it takes a lot to do this, especially at this level. and especially this year with COVID. So coming in, I knew a lot of the coaches, that 4 years ago thought that they had these great freshman groups, and I just kind of smiled and didn't say anything because I knew it was coming. And then after the freshman year, they pretty much knew what we had, and a great group of seniors, but then we've had other kids coming along behind them too in the next classes. And really, I mean, the goal hasn't been to win. The goal's been to dominate, right? They really just being very meticulous about all the details, and the details matter in life. And we really stress that you take care of little details, and that's the difference between a lot of times between winning and losing. And so they're really great students, student athletes, student first. And, our average GPA a couple of years ago was 4.04. We've had three of the valedictorians out of the last 5 years on the team. So we really challenge them mentally as much as physically, and they step up to it. The amazing thing with girls and coaching girls for years now is if you raise the bar, they want to get to it, right? So you raise it, and that's what they want to do, and they just want to blast right through it. And it's an awesome credit to them. And so to be able to do that for 4 years, pretty amazing. Well,
Coach, it's been an absolute incredible run so far. And I know that run is continuing, as you are going to be go back as the girls soccer coach next season for the Northland Prep Spartans. You talk about Coach Hovis. What has that collaboration with him been over these past few years?
Yeah, we're really tight. We have to be. He basically focuses a lot of times on defense. It's kind of like a football team, right? He focuses a little bit on defense, and I'll focus on the attack. But we definitely work together. I mean, high school sports, by the time you get done, you make like 25 cents an hour or something, right? So it's definitely not about that. It's about the kids. And we try to make the best experience possible for them. So not only, are they playing the sport, but they're really coming together as a family. I mean, I think that's the big thing. Our school only has roughly 170 girls. So we had 35 involved in the program this year. So that's almost 20% of the student body. And we have an amazing cross country team and a strong volleyball team. So there's not many girls that aren't in the sports programs, which is pretty awesome, but that we can have that many involved in the soccer program. They really build each other up. And like on the road trips, they're helping each other study, right? And so we've had a lot of parents, the younger players say, man, it's been amazing because the games and the road trips have actually helped my kid because there's 5 tutors in the van with them, right, to help them study. So there's a whole bunch that goes on behind the scenes here, especially administrative wise, that people don't realize. But the kids really help each other, and that's the culture we wanted to change, and we've done that, and to really rise to the top on that.
Well, not only that, Coach, like you said, with that, not necessarily the majority of the girls going out for sports, but a good portion of them, there's a good chance that some also play soccer. They also do cross country. They play soccer. They also play volleyball. They all kind of already know each other for a good, and honestly, most of the season, like you said, smaller school, the sample size isn't as large, but it's got to be good for chemistry when you've got, okay, I know that this girl plays soccer and this girl plays volleyball. So I know that they're going to be helping each other out, and they also both play on the soccer team. So they're getting to know each other a little bit easier than a lot of kids would at a larger school.
Yeah, specifically, like a lot of ours cross over to the basketball season. And the nice thing about us playing fall soccer, because of the winter and not having a field, we play in fall. That allows a lot of our kids to cross over to basketball. And so, there's a lot of things that transfer between the two. And so I love it that we can hand them off to some great basketball coaches that then, we help them and they help us. So in the basketball program, set pieces, this kind of stuff, right? It all translates, and the girls start to put the dots together, and they see then how that translates into different things and then different things into life. And it's just really, especially as seniors, probably the most rewarding for myself, and I'm sure Coach Keith, is that, to see them coming from freshmen, squirrely, junior high kids. And we always tell them, you're a freshman now, you're not a middle schooler anymore, right? It's time to really step up and speak for yourself and these kind of things, and advocate for yourself. And then by the time they're seniors, they're truly young women, right? Young women. And we've seen them go off to college. And every year I get a couple of seniors from our students from the past that are in college or off into work or whatever. And they'll call me on my birthday, or they'll just call and say, hey, I was taking a test and I was getting frustrated and I thought of something you said. And, stuff like that's pretty rewarding, that they were able to take something that, take some things away. And I don't even remember some of the things I've said, right? But anyway, it's just neat to see the impact that it's had for them.
Yeah, very much so. And that kind of speaks to just the focus that you have and Coach Hovis has, which is you're not necessarily putting together a soccer team, but you're building people. And, these people are going to go out into the world afterwards. Like you said, even just in a college class and going, what did Coach Blair say? Oh, okay, yeah, that's, he's right. Let me refocus here on this test. It's that separation between, what's on the field and what's off the field. And if you can build that person up, like how you have been, you're not only building a great soccer team or even a great program in general, but you're building great people. And you've got a great team, Coach. As you mentioned, you took over in 2017. The year before you joined, you were the assistant coach for the Spartans. So before you took over as the head coach, the Spartans had finished in second place. That was 2016. And then you step in as the head coach. The team goes undefeated. That's not necessarily a huge turnaround. It's not like worst to first, but you guys were pretty a solid program to begin with. But you go in there, undefeated. You win a state title in your first season as head coach. And what did you do, man? What did you change? Or what did you change up the Gatorade a little bit for the players? How did you guys find success so quickly?
Well, interesting enough, we actually started, 3 years as assistant. So up until I started as an assistant, Coach Keith and I, the best they'd ever been is 6-6. And really it was a building program, because before that, a couple years before that, it was even just a co-ed team. So there wasn't an all-girls team. So I think it was 3 years as an all-girls team. And that year they were 6-6 was the best they'd ever been. And that year we kind of had a mixed match of players. Some great kids, obviously, but there was some weird chemistry stuff going on, and those different cultural things with girls and stuff, and just high school. And but we basically got them to buy in, and they weren't the best players, right? They weren't the best players, but they really improved that year. And that was one of my most rewarding years, actually, because from 6-6, we took them to the state championship that year. We ended up losing 5-0, and I never forgot that. So you ask about why the 4 state championships, because when you lose, you learn a lot from losing, right? And we I rewatched that game yesterday, actually, just because I wanted to kind of get the taste back in my mouth. And we were the better team for 20 minutes, and we had 2 really good chances to score, and we didn't. And then they put it on us. We lost 5-0. So I definitely remembered that. And these last 4 years, that's been some motivation, obviously, for these kids. But just to, again, don't even keep it close. In soccer, if you keep it close, right, some weird thing can happen. So we wanted to dominate and not let one goal make a difference. And this year we gave up 4 goals all season. I mean, it was pretty amazing. Our defense was awesome. Our goalkeeping was awesome. So, and obviously our attack, you see the goals. I mean, we score 104 goals. So.
Oh yeah.
and the great thing about it is it's distributed. If you look at it, it's distributed. It's not 1 or 2 players. So when one player doesn't have as good a game because maybe the other team's keying on them, the other player has it. And we just always talk about that, right? Just being selfish and find the next player. And sometimes you're the next player. And we've had younger players step up, and it's just neat when I love to see the distribution across the team. And I always tell the girls, when it comes to stats and everything, just play it out, be unselfish, and it'll all take care of itself. And it has every year. So.
Well, Coach, you're kind of the example of holding a grudge does lead to success, because, I mean, your team, since you took over in 2017, again, I know you were with the program beforehand, but when you took over as the head coach, 75-1, you've only had 1 loss on your head coaching record so far. You've only allowed 38 total goals these past 4 years, which is incredible, because there are teams that there are kids that score 38 goals in a season, or maybe not. I might be a little over exaggerating, but there are teams that maybe only score 38 goals total in 2 years, or if they're a struggling program. You beat teams 10-0, 9-0. These are like baseball game wins. These are I'm checking out around the 7th inning kind of scores. But how have you kept this team not only at the top of their game, but consistently every single year? Northland Prep is in the conversation about winning the 2A Central Region and then winning the 2A state title. How have you kept your team so dominant?
Well, each year, even this year, our schedule, right? We played Chino Valley, who we've played in the past finals, and they've always been a great team, right? We were able to play them home and away this year. We actually had on our schedule this year, I reached out to Nevada, who also plays in the fall, and we had Faith Lutheran, who they finished number 7 in the USA Today national poll last year. We had them on our schedule, and I was bummed because of COVID, they had to move to the spring. But we had our best, they had theirs. I've actually met with that coach and had dinner, so we've kind of formed relationships across some different states. We've gone to Nevada and played schools with 3,500 students, right? So I mean, it hasn't been all smaller schools. We've actually, and the fall, interesting enough, people don't realize this, there's 4A, 3A, and 2A and 1A schools. So it's just a mix because we have to play in the fall because of the snow and winter. Right. But we've really tried to make our schedule tough, and we key on those games and really build up for the season, right? We kind of have a build-up program. The girls, I think they know now we're a little tougher on them at the beginning, and then about halfway through the season, we kind of start throttling off, and then by the end of the season, I think that a lot of times they think they can walk on water because we really want to peaking, right? So we know how to peak through the season. I'll be honest, this year it was really hard because of COVID. There were so many starts and stops and the weird things that happened that we had to really work through that. And, credit to the girls for sticking with us, because I don't think we did the best job of coaching this year amongst all the variables, right? It was just hard. It was really tough. I felt like we could have done an even better job of coaching because, again, we want to keep ourselves to the highest standard too. But the girls, they step up, and they're just amazing with each other, and they really take care of the younger ones. And now the younger ones know how to take care of the next younger ones. And that's a program, right? We talk about having a legacy of champions on and off the field. That's our mantra, right? And so that's what we're doing. And we see these girls going off the other day. I have a student, Ellie Karen. She's one of the seniors. She had a big interview with Stanford, right? She might be going to Stanford, which is amazing. And I just text her saying, kill it like a PK, right? Hit it like a PK. And so she knows, they know what that means, right? Put it away. And it kind of gives you that extra jolt of confidence that they can take with them.
Well, congratulations to her going to Stanford University to play Division I soccer at honestly the highest.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. But still, the opportunity just being presented to her, being in a small school in Flagstaff, which is, this is Northern Arizona. Not a lot of coverage happens up here. We have our local papers, but there's not a lot of national spotlight on these smaller programs like yours. And for a player to, again, no guarantee she goes to Stanford. Hopefully she does. But just to get that national recognition is absolutely incredible. You talk about legacy, Coach. You have built a very interesting legacy, a family legacy. Your daughter, Mia, is graduating this year. She's been an absolute monster for you all 4 years. Emma, who graduated already. You've got Campbell, who's a freshman. You've got Jordan, who's a junior. I know you got two more daughters who are currently waiting in the wings to join the Northland Prep soccer team. And I know you have a son as well who, can't necessarily join the girls soccer team currently, but, who knows? Maybe it's, we're pretty progressive people nowadays. So, we'll see what happens. But Coach, you've gotten a chance to essentially and still have the opportunity to coach every single one of your daughters through this program. And they've all won a state title with Dad. It doesn't matter what year they're in. Even Campbell, coming in as a freshman, she got a state title. She'll probably compete for 3 more before she graduates. Is it sort of a rite of passage for a Blair daughter to play with their dad and win a state title? And do you feel a little pressure to win a state title? Maybe Mia got 2 and I only got 1. Where do you see, what does that, how does it make you feel to coach your daughters? And again, do you feel any pressure to win a state title?
No pressure. I mean, obviously just love the kids. And what's amazing for me, because, a lot of kids don't necessarily, they can't play for their parents or stuff like that, right? The dad relationship, but they know that I care about them. And, I've never pushed any of them into sports, into soccer. And they just want to play. They love it. And what's neat is like Emma or Mia really, she's always played up with her older sister. And so when Emma was a junior, we had some success, but not like, state championships. And she wanted to win for her sister, Mia, when Mia came through. So Mia came up as a freshman. I mean, crazy enough, she was conference player of the year as a freshman. And now that she's won it as a junior and senior as well, I realized how big a deal that was as a freshman, because we see the freshmen that are here and they just, there's some good freshmen, but she literally dominated on the field even as a freshman. And that's just amazing in high school sports, right? Let alone do it as a senior, obviously. But so she really wanted to play for her sister, Emma. And then now Campbell coming up. Jordan's played last year. She joined again and had a good season this year. She's had some injuries she's trying to work through. But no, they just love playing with each other. And we've had a couple other sisters on the team, right? Between Coach Keith's yes. Family. And then also this year we had Delaney and Molly, who are sisters. And so it's neat to see the different families we've had come through and just the success, but it's just neat to see them care and want to play for each other. And again, that goes down to the selflessness of the team. That was our theme this year, was selflessness, right? Just trying to really be selfless in a time of craziness and things. And, so now they want to keep it going. I mean, this is about the whole team. This is about them, and they just want to keep it going. And I think it's special for sure that I get to coach them and they get to play for Dad. But they know there's no special exceptions, right? I'm just as firm with them. Like my theme, and all the girls know it, right? Is I'm an equal opportunity picker honor. So don't feel special if I'm picking on you at this point, because it's coming your turn, right? Whether you're my kid or not. And but they appreciate that because they want to get better. And again, that's the thing with girls. They don't want to, they want to be told that they're good when they do things well. And that's great, right? But they also, they don't want to be candy coated. They want to know, how do I get better? And when you do that, man, they really step up to it. And that's what I think a lot of coaches maybe miss is, right, you can be honest with them and they'll take that honesty. Now, around our house, we have a kind of a mantra too. It's rules with a relationship equals reward, right? But rules without a relationship equals rebellion, So that's really, really important. And with the team, it's kind of the same thing. You kind of have to build a relationship with them so you can push on them and they know it's because you care about them instead of just because you're against them and kind of fight, get into a rebellion like that. So just some themes that really, really help.
Coach, we got about a minute left here, and I do want to ask, the only blemish on your record, 75-1, was a loss to those Chino Valley Cougars. And your first 3 state championships came against the Chino Valley Cougars. Is there a rivalry between those Cougars and Spartans building in the 2A if there already isn't one?
Oh, there definitely is. I mean, it's always a great battle. They do a great job. They won the year before, before we started winning. And they always have a great program. Those Coach Foster and Coach Daniels do a great job of building their team up. And no, our girls know they're up for those games. Those are key games. And this year that was part of the plan, right? We figured we might play them in the state championship, but credit to St. John's who got through and beat them in PKs. But we beat them 6-0 and 6-1. So a 12-1 goal differential against one of the powerhouses in 2A, just proved that our girls were really out to prove this year that we could win any division in the state. That's what they were. And what was neat is we had some college and some other, 5A, 6A coaches that were out of state final. And they basically said, yeah, you guys could definitely compete for a 5A, 6A and do what you need to do, just the way we were playing and how strong we were. So that's a huge compliment. But yeah, we always look forward to playing Chino. And that one loss, we did not have Mia that year, or, for that game. And I think it definitely made a difference because we had a hard time picking them apart. They got one free kick, and Lauren Foster, who is Coach Foster's daughter, she's playing at Embry-Riddle now in Prescott. She had a great free kick, and they beat us 1-0. And that was, to be honest with you, obviously that's the only time we didn't score a goal in the last 4 years.
Yes, it is
a pretty big deal.
Well, Coach, you run an incredible program, and I think anybody who gets an opportunity to go through it is really benefiting themselves, not only as a player but also as a person. 4 consecutive state titles. We know there's going to be more coming up in the future. Congratulations on your success, Coach. Thank you very much for coming on the program, and we look forward to speaking to you again.
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will be joined by the Coconino Boys basketball coach, Coach Mike Moran, on the other side of this break. Off the bench, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. I am joined now by the Coconino High School Boys basketball coach, Coach Mike Moran. Coach, welcome onto the program.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Well, we're happy to have you, Coach. We know that the Panthers were able to secure a region title last year, finishing the season quite strongly and then going into the playoffs. Tough battle against Marcos Deniza in the first round, 65-63. And then, unfortunately, you do suffer the first round loss to Arcadia. But, Coach, just kind of take me through the last stretch of the season going into the playoffs, and then how did you feel your team performed?
I thought we had a great year overall. The kids have put in a lot of time and a lot of, off-season basketball, weight room, all the things that are required of a great team. We played 5 of the top 10 rated teams in the league, from Arcadia to Buckeye to St. Mary's to, Peoria, which was one of our best games of the year at our place. We competed against the best teams in the state. We weren't able to beat those 5 teams, Arcadia, I think I mentioned, or if not, we had to play them twice down the stretch. So we competed with the best teams in Arizona and felt really, really good about what we did all year.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, you guys did perform very, very well, beating the region winning the region, then going into the playoffs into the first round. Unfortunately, it's got to be a little weird coaching against Max Marley, who is Dan Marley's son. I went to GCU, and Coach Marley was the head coach of GCU basketball, and I actually remember watching Max during the GCU basketball games. Duncan as like a 7th grader or 8th grader during warmups. It was always fun to watch Max out there, but it's got to be a little strange for you, as I would assume you're a basketball fan, and you probably watched Dan Marley play for the Phoenix Suns, and now you get a chance to coach against his son. That's must have been an interesting experience, Coach.
I love Dan Marley and Cotton Fitzsimmons. When Cotton drafted him, they booed, Dan Marley for that, and Cotton came up and said, "You're going to regret that," and they certainly did. Those people that did, but I'm a big fan. I got a chance to talk to his son and compete against him. Gave him a congrats. I know he's one of the top 50 players in the state right now, and I'm rooting for him as well.
Yeah, Max has a very, very bright future, hopefully at the college ranks as well as going into the NBA possibly. And maybe he'll end up on the Suns just like his father did and have a long career there and then weirdly go to the Cavaliers and Miami Heat. But anyway, we digress. We move on to your program, Coach. You do graduate 3 seniors last year. Not your leading scorer, Preston Olney. There is a little bit of a mix-up on Max Preps where he's listed as a senior, but he's actually a junior. So I know you're happy to get him back. He was a huge impact on the team, but you do lose a couple key players, and one of them being your choice for player of the year, Anton Watson. Coach, how do you expect to replace those guys this year? And can we just talk a little bit about the impact that those seniors had?
The seniors had a great impact. They were great senior leadership, which is what you really need. And I was really impressed with William McMenamin. He came over from Williams High School. He was like the League One level player of the year down there the year before, and a great specimen, physical specimen, and he blocked some shots. He slammed a few that brought the crowd alive. It was an exciting year, but we lost 3 good kids, but we have 9 returners. Yeah, and so there's that'd be 8 seniors and 1 junior, and so we're loaded still.
Yeah, and you got to feel confident knowing that you're returning a majority of your team from last year. Of course, you only need 5 for a starting lineup for basketball, but you add on essentially 3 to 4 more players on your bench that have experience at the varsity level. Do you find that to be a more of an advantage for you to return most of your team next year?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the continuity is really important, and we seem like we know what we're doing. The kids know what's expected of them in the program. They know what practice is like. They have high expectations this year, and they've got a taste of the tournament now. Again, the last 3 years have been really good. We've won the region twice, and then we've been in the play-in. We got a chance to play in, and this year we're looking to make some waves. In the top 10 for sure.
Well, definitely one of the top programs here in the 4A Grand Canyon region. That is the Coconino High School Boys basketball coach, Coach Moran, talking about his program. They just recently getting off a region championship and a first-round bump out of the playoffs, but still a very good season for the Coconino Panthers. And as Coach Moran just said they want to keep continuing it and going forward. Coach, did any of your seniors make the jump to the college levels?
William McMenamin is playing somewhere, small school in Illinois. And I forget the name of the school, to be honest with you. There's so many schools back there, but he did make it to the college level. I'll be looking forward to watching some of his stats and stuff. So, yeah, he's quite a specimen. He's the only one that had that opportunity, though.
As you mentioned, you do return a majority of your team. You said 8 seniors and 1 junior. How are the lower levels looking, Coach? Your JV and your freshman program. I know you haven't had a chance to have too much of an off season, but maybe we can speak more about last year and possibly some of the guys that we could be seeing this year up on the varsity team.
Both our JV and freshman teams from last year were very competitive. They played. If they didn't win the region, they were not right there with all the other region teams. And we've rebuilt Coconino High School basketball, so you're going to see each and every year. You're going to see a team that can play the game of basketball, play hard-nosed man-to-man, and we're really excited at Coconino High School, and there's a lot coming. I'm telling you that we're in good shape right now with a lot of great kids. We're so blessed that the families and the school atmosphere is spectacular. And a lot of our basketball players are still playing football right now with a tremendous football team. So we got it going at Coco right now.
Yeah, and it seems like it, Coach. As I mentioned, you're returning a good chunk of your staff back. It sounds like your JV and your freshman programs are going very strong. How much of an emphasis is it for you to keep those JV and freshman programs going strong?
Well, I always say, we're only as good as our freshman program. And I always believe that. I was a freshman coach for 5 years and helped build a tremendous basketball team at Coconino High School. In 1989, we were 31-1, and those were all my guys, and that kind of thing. So the freshman program is the foundation of what we do. The JV is the transitional spot. I've had some sophomores up, we sit them on the bench, play them some. So it's great continuity in our program right now. We've got a great coaching staff.
Yeah, and that's got to be great. We know that the football team is going to be graduating a few key seniors, but we know the Coconino Panthers football team is looking good. I know that Coach Serena Wallace over with volleyball has got some kids coming up that are quite talented. It seems like, Coach, up and down the floor here, not to be too literal with basketball, but it seems like Coconino has some pretty strong programs and some very good lower level programs, which a lot of high schools tend to not necessarily neglect, but you do kind of run into a problem some years where the lower levels aren't necessarily as strong, or they're not as strongly recruited. There aren't as many kids playing down at the lower levels, but it sounds like Coconino and your program included does a good job of making sure that those young programs stay nice and confident and stay good. Because as you mentioned, these are the kids who can be playing at varsity the next level, and they got to be ready.
Stacy Zanzuki, our principal, and Eric Freeze, our athletic director, are so supportive. The atmosphere is, everybody's working, helping. We're getting multiple athletes. We've got football, basketball, and baseball all sharing athletes, which is really important. That's a big plus in the school. But there's no doubt that the school is on a very strong run with lots of spirit and lots of positivity. And I'm just excited to still be around.
Well, we'll get into how long you've actually been around with the program, because it's actually a very interesting story. But I do want to ask this, Coach. COVID-19, as we know, did not affect the season last year because it kind of hit the state a little more closer to the spring season. You did get a chance to have a full year last year. This year, it's not necessarily canceled. We're not going to say that at all. But regarding county numbers, they aren't where they need to be at this time right now. So the winter season is kind of up in the air. You had mentioned it off air that you didn't get an opportunity to play those summer games. So how are you preparing for this season, knowing that while there is a good chance that we still have a regular winter season, there's also the other side of it where it either unfortunately gets canceled or the season gets shortened. But I want to ask you, what has been your preparation going forward so far in this sort of up in the air period?
It's been very, very difficult for everyone in this world today. And, especially for these young kids, that are going through so much. Last spring, I remember how devastated I was for the baseball team. I was a shortstop in baseball, and to think they worked so hard at it and they weren't able to play really hurt me. And now here it is, we're looking at the potential of not playing here. And today's our actual first day of, quote, practice. It's not even an official practice. It's kind of a, stage one, whatever it is they call it, where right. We can't even share the basketball with one another. So we can, each player has to have one basketball and very little. We can't compete. We can't play defense, can't go, scrimmage or anything like that. So it's been very difficult, but there are a lot of teams, like you talked about the football team and the volleyball team, they went through lots of adversity and they sucked it up and they got it done. And they continue to play like many teams across America. You've got to be strong and you got to stay positive. And we've just got to hope that we get the opportunity to play again. And we think about that every day.
Now, Coach, you just mentioned it, not really being able to play 1-on-1 or 5-on-5 or run any of your fast break or press break, and really anything. So does your preparation go from on the floor to more of the mental aspect and going, hey guys, let's start focusing more on our game plan? And while we can't necessarily physically, go forward with the game plan, we can still talk about the mental aspect. Do you see a shift in your coaching style with not really being able to actually play basketball?
We're going to figure it out today. I've got a plan. I can do a lot of things that I really love to do, like on the defensive side of the game, which we're really strong. I think that's the key to our success is great D. And we can still stance, shuffle, slide, step slide, help recover techniques. We can still practice box out moves, fundamentally. We can do a lot of things. We can dribble, we can shoot, but each player has to have a ball. We have to be spread out. 10 kids in the gym is all we can do. So it's very limited, but we're going to make the best of it. And everybody knows that we're in the same boat. Everybody's dealing with the same stuff. So we're going to be positive. We're going to overcome this. And we have, we're just excited, hoping and praying that we're going to be there in a couple of weeks. Hopefully they'll let us play.
And again, we were speaking with Coconino High School Boys basketball coach Mike Moran. Coach Moran, this is your third year consecutively, or more of recently, I should say, with the Coconino Panthers program. But this is not your first stint with the Coconino's Panthers program. Can we talk a little bit about your years with the Panthers?
Yeah, I'm just so excited to talk about that because of all the old coaches that came and before me that I love so much. Stan Townsend is the greatest basketball coach we've ever had. He won a state championship up there, and I had a chance to go fish with him many times and, learn as much as I could from him. I started like in the early 80s there with Bill Epperson, the great football coach from Coconino High School, won 3 state championships. And I was amongst really great men when I got to Coconino High School and learned a ton from them. And I coached football, basketball, and baseball at the freshman level, eventually became the varsity boys basketball coach. I was a varsity baseball coach for a year, helping rebuild the program. I became the varsity football coach just 2 years ago to help build the football program. So I've been kind of been around a while and continue to love what I do. And I want to keep giving back to Coconino High School as much as I can.
Yeah, very much so. It sounds like you're wearing a lot of hats there, Coach. And we know the success of the football program this year, along with the success of the Coconino boys basketball program last year. So whatever capacity you may be in, Coach, it seems like you find success with whatever program you're ahead of.
Well, it's a tough business. I'm 65 years old. I'm still doing it. I'm still competing. The kids are still listening, I guess. And I love the competition. That's what it's about. And I'm going to continue to coach as long as I'm able to.
Coach, is there anybody that you kind of base your style off of? Because at first glance, I get a lot of a Phil Jackson vibe, kind of a relaxed guy. You got the hoodie on, you got the nice white beard. But is there anybody specifically that you base your style off of?
I love Phil Jackson, by the way, but I was born in Boston, and when I was 5 years old, I saw Bob Cousy throw a behind-the-back pass to somebody, John Havlicek, I think, and I was hooked from there. New England was, I believe in that Celtic style, great D, pushing the ball, the sixth man, the importance of the sixth man in the game, great D, and so I'm obviously a Krzyzewski, Bobby Knight guy, the defensive style. North Carolina is we run the North Carolina break, we work on that every day. We're up and down and we're putting it up, shooting a lot of threes now. So, but it's about John Wooden was probably my biggest influence, studying John Wooden over the years and believing what he was doing and listen to, watching what he did over the years, got his autograph. The only man I ever asked for an autograph. Didn't want to bother all these great coaches at the Nike clinics. I asked John Wooden for an autograph one day, which was one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah, John Wooden, of course, the legendary basketball coach over at UCLA. I remember my basketball coach, Aaron Wiltrout over at Shadow Hills High School when I was going to school in California. I remember one of the days at practice, we were in his classroom, and he drew a basketball on the whiteboard, and he said, "Okay, guys, tell me how much basketball knowledge you have by the dots on a basketball." And he put 1 dot, and he said, "This is how much you guys know." And then he put 2 or 3 dots. He said, "This is how much I know." And then he covered, I would say, about 60% of that basketball with dots and said, "This is how much John Wooden knows." A guy who absolutely knows every single aspect of the basketball game. The three pyramid, the pyramid of success, one of the big, of course, a huge component of Coach Wooden's philosophy. Although I will say, Coach, I don't know how for Coach Wooden would be with the beard you're currently rocking, but I got to say I'm a big fan of it. And you would definitely have to shave that. Of course, Coach Wooden, not a big fan of the facial hair. You also have to do the same thing if you played for the Yankees. But Coach, I like the beard. I like what I'm seeing from Coconino. They're a strong program. They got a great leader, and I want to thank you very much for coming on and talking with us, Coach.
Well, it's an honor to be with you today, Phil. What you're doing for high school kids, this is so cool. And thank you for what you do, and thanks for inviting me today. Appreciate it.
Anytime, Coach. We appreciate it. We just give an opportunity to highlight some of the wonderful programs, coaches, and staff and players we have here in the 4-8 Grand Canyon region. Too much focus in the Maricopa County area. We need to start branching out. We got so many wonderful athletes up here.
Anything we can do to help you, let us know. You're doing a great job, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I want to thank you again for coming on the program. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will be joined by Paul Campuzano, the girls soccer coach over at Prescott High School, on the other side of this break. Off the bench, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules, and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I am joined now by Prescott girls soccer coach, Coach Paul Campuzano. Coach, welcome onto the program.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to have you as the beautiful backdrop of Prescott, Arizona, one of my favorite areas to visit here up in northern Arizona. Last year, the Prescott Badgers finished an incredible regular season, going 12-0 and winning the region again. How did you feel the team performed last year?
I think we met a lot of our goals. It was interesting. At the beginning of the year, we sit down after tryouts and have them write down goals, and a lot of them were personal. Most were really geared toward winning the Grand Canyon region. So, we met that goal. I think the style of play and the way we played was our biggest goal. And I think the girls met that challenge greatly. So,
as I mentioned, a 12-0 season is something that kind of lingers in the back of your mind as you're going along through the season. And I know that I was a part of a JV baseball team that went undefeated, and it was kind of something that we were thinking about. You don't necessarily compete for a championship at the JV level, but how are you able to keep your team focused on the season and less on the undefeated aspect that could come in with winning the rest of your games?
Well, I think we've, over the last few years, really de-emphasized winning, and it was about how we play. I think if we play the way we should play, the right way, then the wins will take care of themselves. The scoring always seems to happen. So really focusing on the opponent. We did a lot of film sessions preparing for each team. And then changing the style of play based on who we're playing. And so that really kept a lot of the players that were in their senior year. And, okay, I've heard you for 3 years, 4 years talking about the same thing. We know who we're going to play. Basically, we've seen them on film. So challenging them that way, having them play stylistically different almost every other game or so. Really, they had to be focused. Otherwise, they would miss the point of what we were trying to accomplish. So winning was important, I guess. But really, we knew if we played the way we had been training for the last 2-3 years that, once we stepped on the field, things would take care of themselves as everyone, kept to their assignment. So.
No, and they very much did. As I mentioned, going 12-0 overall is very tough, especially when you've got a big opponent in Flagstaff in the same region, along with Bradshaw, of course, Coconino, Mingus, everybody else alongside you guys in the 4A Grand Canyon region. As I mentioned, the Badgers and the Eagles seem to be flip-flopping first and second every year, whether it's the Badgers finishing first like they did last year and Flagstaff going second, or Flagstaff in first and Prescott going in second. How are you able to keep your program so consistent? Because you guys hover right at the top every single year.
Yeah, it's one thing to have talent. It's not, good teams lose all the time. And
right.
So it really was changing our mindset and our approach to how we approach an entire season rather than just a game. Flagstaff was on our list, but it wasn't the focus of we really wanted to shut out every team, and only one team scored on us last year during that stretch. And so that was the goal. And when you really have a good group of girls willing to sort of understand why they're playing on a deeper level than just I like soccer, and really, really keep them on track for their goals, personal and otherwise, the younger players see the way the older players are playing and know what's acceptable and what's not, what's expected of them. So it sort of has been a big philosophy of mine the last 3-4 years to make it a program. When you step in, whether once they make the team, I don't really consider a freshman a senior. A senior has not earned more right to play, even though they've started for 3 years. So right. It really woke up a lot of the older players who thought, well, it's my senior year, I get to play. And when we had our big sophomore class that was very hungry and very capable of playing, it kept everyone really focused on what we were trying to do. And it helped a lot.
That's an interesting coaching philosophy as well. I'm very much on the same wavelength. You put the best team out there. It doesn't matter if they're freshman, junior, sophomore, if they played soccer for 2 years or 12. You put the best team out there you can. And I very much respect the fact that you don't necessarily go, well, we got to make sure we get a couple seniors out there. We got to mix in these sophomores. Everybody gets experience regardless.
Yeah, no, it's taken them a while to change that, because when I first came in, the previous coach wouldn't take freshmen.
Okay.
And we had some amazing freshman players that were ready. They played club, they played competitive club down the valley. So once they make the team, everyone earns their playing time every week. So if someone's sick, or if someone, we had 14 players sick toward the end of last year, and, there were some seniors and they weren't very happy about it. But I think when they understand what we were trying to do, it was bigger than personal recognition. It was bigger than who was scoring. I had a senior actually come up to me midway through the year, and she had scored 30, 40 goals the year before, maybe 30. And she only had 6 about halfway through, but we were rolling. We were shutting teams out and really in control of most games. And she came up to me and said, "You know what? Okay, I get it. I don't care about scoring. Let's just win." And I said, "Well, thank you. I'm glad you." So, and then from that moment on, her play really calmed down, and then the goals came. So she was just pressing. So, yeah, no, I think they I think it's very important they understand that this is it's about the team. It's not about, the seniors owe the younger players a lot. They owe the training, they owe the examples, they owe the leadership on and off the field, helping them with schoolwork. So really it's about all those things. So even though you're a senior, even though you may have been a player of the year, that does not mean you're starting the next year for me.
No, and very much so. You kind of always, you get a lot of coaches who assume the moniker of, okay, well, they've been in the program for 4 years. They're a senior this year. They deserve to play, and the freshmen are going to hang down there. But, even just as you said, it's if you're playing well, you're playing well. It doesn't matter who you are. You've got the experience. You've got kids who have played club. There are a lot of kids who have played soccer before they even touch a high school field. So it makes a lot of sense to give the players the opportunities when they come.
Yeah, and I think that that really helps with the trust. The trust is huge with me. These are young girls becoming women in a lot of cases. They have a lot of outside distractions with life, parents, significant others, etc. So if they really trust me in that, if you perform, you'll play, and not, well, why am I going to go hard in practice when that senior's been starting for 4 years? And I think that really incentivizes the seniors to hold their own and actually not just show up and, hey, I'm going to miss practice today because I have a test. Well, do you really have a test? So, and there's no policing by me either. It's 100% trust. And especially our captains last year, they were the ones coming up to me saying, you really need to, this is happening. I just wanted you to know. And then walking away, and it's like, oh gosh. So there's a lot of self-reporting, a lot of keeping everyone in check. And I think that's that whole trust, that family sort of feel.
Yeah, and very much so. It's a philosophy that has been working. As I mentioned, 12-0 last year, winning the region again. The team consistently is in the playoffs almost every single year. Any players from last year go on to play at the next level, up at the college level?
There was the Grand Canyon player there, Lily Jensen, was very special. And the nice thing for her, sort of the bad thing was she was a late bloomer. And so colleges, by the kid's junior year, you kind of know where you might be going. And so by her senior year, she was the 4A player of the year too, for the entire state. So once COVID hit, she's really a family person. She changed all her plans and dropped soccer. A lot of girls decided not to go places and are staying in town at Yavapai. They're starting their women's program this year. So it's sort of a strange time. And I understand, in the beginning when COVID first hit, it was, pretty scary, especially for a young athlete. Now, they want being away from home and all that. So right now, a lot of them are doing Yavapai College, but no one sort of stuck with plans beyond that.
Well, still exciting.
Yeah. Sawyer Magnet was one of the players that was recruited as a freshman. And so she decided to not play. She went to Liberty University back east and decided not to play at the last minute and just wanted to focus on school. And I really respect that opinion. She misses it, but I think you have to do in the end what's best for you. So.
Of course, and you see all the time athletes utilizing their talents on the field to just get them into the door at a university, to get somebody talking to them, to get them a full ride scholarship. I know if I had the talent to even get a scholarship, I definitely would have taken advantage of it, regardless if I had played or not. But still exciting. It's, as you mentioned, Yavapai College starting up their girls soccer program very soon, which is extremely incredible for them, because now you've got the boys and the girls program. A lot more people, a lot more students here in the 4A Grand Canyon region who aren't maybe really sure what they want to do at the university level. They can go continue and play soccer at Yavapai College. So super happy about that. But 2019 resulted, or excuse me, I should finish with this here before we move into this season. You're able to capture the 4A Grand Canyon Region Coach of the Year. What does a title like that mean for you?
I have a hard time accepting compliments. I look at it as it's just another award for the team. They got it for me. Coaching games is not fun for me. Practice is where I live, and then you get the game, and I've gotten a lot better. I'm very quiet now. I used to be really vocal, and it doesn't help a young athlete to have me on their shoulders, not to mention the pressure of, are we winning? Are we playing well today? We came into game at half times at 3-0, and the girls looked like we were down 6-0. So there was a lot of pressure there. And so winning an award like that is great. But once again, I do attribute it to my players. It's not really something I did. I'm out there, I throw some balls in the field, give some suggestions, but they paint the picture in the end. So.
Well, a collaborative effort on side of you and also on your very, very talented Prescott Badgers girls program. As I mentioned, last year, you guys were able to capture a region championship. Going into 2020, the Badgers are looking for back-to-back region championships and possibly a state title as well. Hopefully, we'll get the season kicked off. How's the team looking for this year so far? It looks great, because we had a big sophomore class that's coming back, and they watched what happened last year, and we're a big part of it as well. There were 3 or 4 that have started every game of their career, which is nice. We've lost 2 girls to knee injuries at the club level, so they won't be playing this year with us. And then 1 or 2 more have decided not to play anymore. So it's just interesting how it's going to be. It's always a challenge. But I think we have something in place that wasn't there in the past. They know what is expected of them, and they know how to integrate the younger players, because they were just a younger player a year before, and so they know how to bring them in and bring them along as well. So it should be real competitive again. Flagstaff's always tough. We have to go up there again this year. We beat them last year up there, and it's a day game, which is sort of always throws us off, because every game is usually a night game, but and it's cold. No, we'll be fine. Like I said, with the Grand Canyon region, a lot of the teams don't show well outside of the region, but when you play them, it's like Bradshaw, they don't show well outside of the region, but when we play them, it's a different animal when it's right across town. So we get a different Bradshaw team than a lot of teams. So it's real competitive. It's never easy, even though it looks like it from the outside looking in. But even Mingus last year, I think they were up to rank 6 and got to they went pretty far.
Yeah. So
they went to the either the semis or just before that. Yes. Coach Balo did a great job with the program last year. Yeah. Taking them to the playoffs. Yes.
Yeah. He's a great guy. So, so it was, you just never know what's going to happen, but, it'll be Flagstaff and ourselves probably again. And we play the last game of the year. So it'll all work itself out on that last game.
And again, we were speaking with the Prescott girls soccer coach, Coach Paul Campuzano. And Coach, you just said it, Flagstaff and Prescott. I mentioned it early on. It seems like it's either first or second for either team. They're flipping back and forth to who wins the region. And I guess last year, swapping a region title for a state championship, the Eagles were able to capture their state title last year. I got a chance to talk with Coach Holly Jones last week on the program. And I'm going to ask you the exact same question. Whenever we think about Prescott, we always think about Bradshaw being the rival of the Prescott Badgers, the crosstown rival, which is still probably very prominent. And the same thing with Flagstaff. We think Coconino, crosstown rival. But if you look at the girls soccer program for the past, I would say, I know you've been here with the program for about 3 or 4 years, maybe even the past 5 or 6 years. It's always the Badgers and the Eagles right behind each other. Are we seeing a little bit of a different rivalry brewing in the 4A Grand Canyon region?
I mean, I like to downplay it, but I'll be completely honest with you. That is who all the girls look to for so many reasons. They play each other in club. They're not strangers. I mean, Bradshaw, once again, they're across town, so that'll always be taken seriously. But No, Flagstaff, it's become a little different. I think us beating them last year, shutting them out last year and shutting out the whole region, I think shocked them a little. We're just Prescott, so we're not, one of these big, powerful schools that can never
just
do well.
Prescott. Come
just
on,
Prescott,
Coach.
Yeah. But I think, it's becoming very personal. Holly and I have a great relationship, but for the players, it's very personal and it's very physical, and it's a big game. It's, Notre Dame, USC. It's the biggest game probably in the Grand Canyon region every year.
Yeah, it very much is. It's a great example. USC, UCLA, but reality, Notre Dame, more of a prominent force or more of a prominent rival against the USC Trojan. But Coach, we're hoping that the winter season will be able to get kicked off with no issues. As you mentioned, a few players opting to stay home with COVID-19, completely understandable, and unfortunately losing a couple players to injuries. But we all know the Prescott Badgers are always going to be a threat in the 4A Grand Canyon region. You got a great team going into 2020. Hopefully we'll be able to get started, and we're looking forward to see what shakes out with the 4A Grand Canyon region this year, Coach.
Definitely. So am I. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, and we're going to take a quick break. When we come back off the bench, we'll be right back with more sports. Don't go anywhere.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation, right here on Verde Valley TV and KVNA 104.7 FM. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. Want to welcome you back here. I would like to thank my guests for coming on the program today. Northland Preparatory Academy girls soccer coach Michael Blair, of course, Coconino High School Boys basketball coach Mike Moran, and Prescott girls soccer coach Paul Campuzano. Hopefully we'll get a chance to speak with Coach Moran and Campuzano a little later in the winter season. As we discussed it in the beginning of the show, the winter season is not necessarily canceled, but it is currently in a pause, or kind of in a, we still need to figure things out before we go forward with it. But this is what we know right now. This is a statement that we received from Seth Polanski of the AIA. He's the spokesman for the Arizona Interscholastic Association. Great guy. Love talking to Seth. And it goes like this. Is a little bit further down in the article, but the recommendation is to have the competition season begin sometime in January, with the 2 weeks of mandatory AIA practice to take place before competition can begin. So for right now, we're possibly looking at a January start date, more than likely a shortened season like we saw in the fall, probably limited attendance, if anything. Obviously, we'll get to that when we have an official word from the AIA, if they are going to be doing going down this road and starting in January. But the kicker here, which is quite interesting, is that practice for winter season was supposed to begin on November 9th. But counties and districts and schools that meet the metrics, there are currently only two. La Paz County and Mojave are the only two counties right now that are completely under the threshold, and they can practice anything: wrestling, basketball, soccer, whatever. They're the only two counties right now that can continue with their practice, as counties that are already under the threshold, they don't have to wait. They can keep practicing. So kind of an interesting dynamic that one county, completely perfectly fine, can continue practicing, but the other counties have to patiently wait. But like we said, when I get more information from the AIA, we'll get a chance to speak with David Hines. We'll clear this up and get an idea as to what the winter season might look like. But for right now, January start date is what we're looking at. But look, we'll cover that and a whole lot more on another episode of Off the Bench. I want to thank you very much for watching and listening. More sports on the way right here on Off the Bench on Verde Valley TV and KVNA 104.7 FM. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.